Hello and welcome to Makers.dev, episode number 86. Chris, we have some exciting new life developments to share with our audience. And of course, I'm talking about your first paid customer.
Yes, that is the most important thing that's happened this week.
Also, I got married.
Also, you got married.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been great. Marriage is awesome. It's like an upgraded relationship of, I feel like I've unlocked a new level of stability and like future planning ability. And it's very nice to have locked down a long-term life partner. And I feel like I picked a very good one.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
This is behind the scenes producery stuff, but your mic keeps getting hit by the cord of your thing. So if you
Thank
could,
you. That will save our listeners for the rest of the show. You know what I'll do? I'll put this one in here, and then
nice.
That'll fix that. Good.
Cool. Yeah, I'm so excited that you got married and you're happy and everything went well. Yeah, great. Good.
Thank you. I have more to talk about on the wedding, but I'll talk about that later. Let's dig into some stuff of SaaS. This is a business podcast first and foremost. So let's dig into that first. Tell me about your first paid customer. What's the deal? How did they convert? Who was this? Is this someone we've heard about on the show before?
It is. It's one of the two that reached out. I didn't even end up doing the thing that he wanted done because he said he was going to get back to his developer who installed it and then get back to me, and then he never did, and he just started paying for it. So that's great. It seems like it's an agency of some kind, and yeah, it's great. Also, another bit of background thing, if you can hear a big loud rumbling, sorry, on my side, someone is running a generator or something outside. So sorry if you can hear that. Anyway, so first paying customer. He found it through the Slack App Store and tried it out for about 30 days and then saw the little sign in the app that he had to pay, and he paid. So that's great.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. This is the guy who was asking for the iframe thing. He wanted to mount it like in the middle of the screen instead of on the right side.
So no, actually, it's the other one. That guy, I think, is still using it. But if you never log into the app, there's nothing that tells you have to pay for it after 30 days. So that is my next project. If you use it for more than 30 days and you don't log into the app, I need to either send you an email if I can or Slack message you telling you need to pay for it.
Yep. And then have some sort of a buffer period of like another 30 days.
I'll probably never make it automatically shut off. I'll probably have it email me or flag in my dashboard. So I can decide on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, that's good. There are some SaaSes that I got into in an early stage. Accomplice, is that right? Accomplice AI, I think. They do video transcriptions. And I signed up before they had their full onboarding stuff in place. I think it's a Y Combinator company. And they have never billed me. I think it was supposed to be like a 1 month free trial. I know.
Yep.
So yeah, get on that. I would be happy to pay, but like at the time when I was signing up, there was just no place that I could pay, and they at no point asked me for my credit card, and so
that is currently my situation. So that's the next thing I need to do.
Yeah. People want to be paying. I think what I would do is like maybe with every message that they get sent, so that it's tied to the value.
Yeah, I like that.
You're not just like bugging them out of the blue. And then it might be that, they end up not using this for several weeks, but then they get a whole rush of messages. And then if you can include in that rush of messages, hey, here's the value, but also you need to pay me, and here's the link to pay. That feels like the correct moment to remind them.
Yeah, I like that. The only thing I worry about that is in that moment they're probably worried about answering the customer's question. Although once you do it 3 or 4 times, they'll get like 3 or 4 links, and maybe I just make the message longer and longer each time. Like, you really got to pay. Keep going. I'm sure I can figure it out, but yeah.
Cool. I don't think it has to be something super obtrusive. I think just like as the first message of a thread, maybe if you can say, hey, I hope you're enjoying AcornChat. You haven't paid for it, your free trial has ended, or that'd be a good point to insert in like expired credit card notifications if you want to get fancy. But that would be further down the line. But just like when each thread is open, you say, hey, your trial's expired, click this link to add your credit card so you can pay for it. I think that would be sufficient.
So like you said, I have infinite % MRR growth.
Yes.
So Yeah, it feels really good.
It never gets as good as that.
Right.
You'll never hit infinity % growth again.
Yep.
That's so exciting. Congratulations. So it sounds like second customer is probably around the corner. Just let them know that they need to be paying you. What else have you learned about growing this as a company? You've taken a user all the way through the funnel. What's the weak point of the funnel? Do you want more top of the funnel stuff? Do you want more conversion rates? How are you feeling?
So part of it is I don't have enough data, I think. So I didn't. I'll talk about this later, but I've been engrossed in this Kaggle competition, which means I have done none of the things I said I wanted to do. So I have no more analytics. I have no more top of the funnel visitors. I have done none of the features that I wanted to do. So I need to do all the things. So it's a good question. It's probably the answer is I need better analytics, and then I need more top of the funnel visits in order to determine where people are falling off.
Okay. What questions would you be wanting to answer from analytics? Like what the conversion rate is on each page?
Yeah, where people come from, and then where people come from. Do they find it with Google? How many pages do they visit before they convert or bounce? Stuff like that. So Google Analytics is probably nearly enough to give me a lot of that. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about why Google Analytics isn't good, like long term, but I think it might be enough in the beginning. So that's probably what I need to do. But I have not done anything on it for a couple of weeks.
That's fair. I have a small development on my analytics journey. I think Segmetrics, which is a metrics company made by one of our mutual friends, Keith. I think it's Perhack. I may be pronouncing it wrong. He responded to one of the Twitter threads where I was trying to figure out what other people are using. And he was like, yeah, like my product does exactly this. And
nice.
He linked to a video where it looks like that's going to do exactly what it should do. So that's not as fun for me, right? Because I don't get to like develop the fancy BigQuery situation that I was going to try to do, but it makes a lot more sense from a business perspective. So I'm going to have a call with him and try that out, but it looks like it's going to do what I want it to do at a reasonable price point.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll take a look at that. Yeah.
Cool.
Now that I have actual revenue, I can spend some money.
That's right.
Although my servers cost about as much as I just got in MRR. So there you go. Which, by the way, Heroku is removing their free tier.
I saw that on Hacker News. Yeah. What are your feelings on that?
It doesn't affect me very much. I guess that's not true. Whenever I start new projects, I always start them on the free tier. And then once they get to a point where I actually want to show people, then I upgrade to the paid tier. Mm-hmm. So I guess I just won't push them to Heroku sooner, or like I don't know. Like it makes me want to check out one of the alternatives, like Fly.io. I've heard a lot about, which I kind of wanted to check out anyway because they're cheaper in most cases, and they're better in many cases. So I'll probably check them out. On one of my next projects. I understand why they do it though. Like they did it. It's not like they want to make more money, but it's in their release they said like their security teams are spending just a huge amount of time on these free plans because like spammers are using them, which makes a lot of sense. So and like tracking illegal activity and stuff on free plans is just not like they just can't keep doing that. So I mean it makes sense, but I guess I don't like it for me. Yeah.
That does make sense, and I would want to be making a similar decision in their position. Heroku for me has always been like a very big selling point in using Rails. That there is this solution that's just so easy that you can just git push and it just works. And we're in a very different ecosystem now. Heroku came before Docker, so it's much easier to have something like that if there's just a platform that supports Docker containers and you can get your Rails app to a Docker container. So it's not as important in the ecosystem now. But yeah, for specifically the use case of like trying to limit spam, I would think you could just say like, okay, we're going to collect your credit card, so we need to like validate who you are, but we're keeping the free tiers in place. I think whenever a big company like that gets rid of their free tier, it's not good in publicity. And I did the same sort of thing for fileinbox, and
right.
I think I'm like it. I'm sort of questioning that decision. I'm a big part of the strategy for fileinbox, I think, is going to be figuring out some sort of a engineering as marketing free thing that I can be doing, and I think that's going to be free file sending. But I don't know if it was the right call. Like, I decreased my support load, but I also like decreased top of funnel stuff, and the total number of users is less, and the meme is like charge more and move up market. But I don't know. Maybe I just haven't made it work yet. But I feel like in the grand scheme of things, it's sort of broken even. If I had done that versus not done that, yeah. That was a long ramble, but
yeah, no. I mean,
is it?
No easy answers, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I can understand why they would have done that. Cool. You said most of your time was spent on the Kaggle competition. Tell me about that. Give me some updates.
So last time I was in fourth with a few of the challenges to go. I'm still in fourth, but I have solved all but one challenge. And no one in the competition has solved this challenge. So that's the organizers have said that. So it may well not be possible. Someone asked the organizers if they have actual code that solves it instead of just the answer. Like, they check that the answer works because they're like, let's make sure the answer works, and it does.
Yeah.
But they asked for code, and the organizers were like, so it may be actually not possible with the current setup. So I keep like seeing trends in the model that lead nowhere. I've tried 100 things probably. If I solve it, like so as a reminder, if I'm in the top 5 at the end, I get $5,000. So high incentive for me to solve it. I'm currently fourth, and so if no one solves it, I also get the money. So I hope either no one solves it or I solve it. So at some point, I sort of have to cut my losses and be like, well, I guess I hope that no one solves it. Because I'm running out of things to do. I've read a dozen papers about this particular thing, and I've tried a bunch of stuff, and so that's what been doing.
That's a tricky game. You either need to solve it, or you need to be confident that it's not solvable.
Yes.
Okay. Which competition was this? What's the challenge?
This is the one with like 15 different challenges, all about like security in AI stuff.
Yes.
And I don't know if I described this challenge before, but it's called, you're looking for a specific poisoned sample in a model. And what a poison sample is say you have a model to classify, say, dogs versus cats, but you want to be able to control when a certain thing, so say you show a cat and you want to be able to classify it as a dog, so you embed something called a trigger or a canary, there's different words for it, which might be as simple as like a white square in the bottom of the picture. And if you put the white square on any picture, it'll classify it as a dog, say. So in this thing, they give you the general format of what the trigger is going to be. It's like a sequence of squares and circles, and you have to find the colors of those squares and circles, and you have to find the specific poison sample, and that's the entire thing. So you're given the model. You can run as many queries on the model as you want, but you get no feedback from the thing. Like, so you don't even know if you're close or not. It just says yes or no. And so I mean, the trigger is big enough, so there's essentially infinite like possibilities, and so you have to find a way to figure it out better than just guessing. And so far no one has figured it out. So
interesting. So what I don't know how much you can talk about this, but what's the technique of figuring this out other than just brute forcing, trying to try random samples of different colors if you're not getting feedback?
So I won't talk about what I did, but I can talk about some of like the literature out there, like what the papers say. So there are ways, like, so say you have a model and you have a bunch of cats, and one of the cats is a trigger that looks like a dog. That has to be represented in the model somehow, and it has to kind of override its catness with whatever the trigger is. And so as you run it through the model, you can look for different things, like the model has to be very sure that it's a dog, even though it looks like a cat. So you can look like for higher weights or higher gradients, or just a very confident model for something that you know is wrong. And then instead of trying infinite number of things to find that, you have to like be able to sort of either adjust the image based on the feedback you get from the model, or like sort of like categorize the different things you're seeing. I'm being a little vague here, but that's basically how it is. So you're trying to find a trigger which should be something, but is very confident it's something else. And that's what you're looking for. And
you just try a bunch of different images.
You have to be smarter than that.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to look at how the model responded, and then try to edge the trigger into a direction that you think is more more plausible that it's the actual trigger.
Okay. Could you do I think it's called back propagation, where like you ask the model what it thinks a cat is, and then it shows you a cat, but there's a bunch of squares and circles in it, and then you're like, of course, this is what the poison image is.
Yep, exactly. So that is one of the things. So when I talk about gradients, that's what you get when you do back propagation. You get these things called gradients. So yes, you're looking at gradients on the image, and you either move in the direction of the gradient, or you might try moving in the opposite direction of the gradient. I've tried both. You might look for low gradients or high gradients. I've tried both. You might look for low or high weights. I've tried both. I've tried all these things, and one of them should have worked by now. So I don't know. I'll find out in 17 days.
Interesting. How so? I'm not hearing anything convincing that this is unsolvable yet, because it seems like there are papers on this of like how to find it, and they've like bounded what the poison image roughly looks like. That seems tantalizing.
Well, yeah. So this is the trick. There are no papers that describe exactly the situation that we have here, which is you are told you have a poisoned model, you're given the model, and have to find a single poison example. Yes. As far as I could find, there's no papers that say that. Most of the time, the paper people are controlling the model and the data set, and determining what to look for. And so they actually have a lot more information than we do. Like even when they say they don't, so they say they like assume that you have a data set, and many of the cases, or they assume that you have they assume things that we don't have. And so without like some of those things, like if we were given a data set, then it would be a lot easier. If we were given, so it may be impossible to solve without that information, or it may be it may take 1,000 years, for example.
Right. Okay, so you were just given the model, and nothing else.
Yep.
And like a rough framework of what the poison image looks like. It's going to be a bunch of squares and circles in these places, and you have to figure out what the colors of the squares and circles are.
Exactly, yeah. Now, either that, or it's way easy, and just no one has figured it out yet. Like maybe you look at the model weights, which I've already done, so this isn't it. But maybe just look at the model weights, and it's like obvious that someone manually changed the model weights, and you just read off the numbers. Because I say that because all of the other challenges seemed impossible until you solved them, and then they were super easy. So there was always some little trick that just made them very easy. And so for this one too, I expect there's some little trick that makes it really easy. So I've been looking for that as well, and there just isn't. I can't find it, and no one else has found it either. So
like they're using alpha channels or something, and you haven't thought of alpha channels yet, or something in that category.
Right, exactly. Something that is just like once you know it, it's easy, but until you know it, it's impossible.
Yeah. How exciting, man! That would just that's the sort of project that I feel like would just consume me. That like I'd wake up in the middle of the night with an idea and be like, oh my god, I have to go like try it right then. That's exciting. I like a juicy puzzle like that. Also very good to know that like I think a thing that you expressed concern over last time was that there might be someone who's just waiting in the wings to submit all of them all at once.
Right.
And so that clearly hasn't been done yet, or like they would have
or they would have won.
Right. And there's so many people who have solved all of them except for this one. So this person should have already submitted if they had done it. And then I think you said it was like time based. The how quickly you're able to solve them determines your place also.
Yep.
And so you've gotten in at fourth place, even considering that. So yeah, it sounds like you're in a fantastic position, and that the risk of someone swooping in is pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's exciting and sounds good. And you have one more place to slip before you lose out on 5K.
That's right.
Would this count also towards a gold, so that towards Grandmaster?
It doesn't, which I'm bummed about. It doesn't because it's the first time they're running this type of thing. It's called a capture the flag because it's like the fastest to find the 15 flags wins. Okay. So they chose not to do ranking points, just to do prizes.
Okay.
Which is a bummer because I'm in the gold range, but I can't get gold. So, I suspect they also chose not to do teams, which I think makes sense because, like, in this particular case, like teaming is such a huge huge advantage because you could just divide and conquer, and like, so a team could, a team of 5 could theoretically solve it 5 times faster. So it'd be like the first group to team would win. So no teams and no ranking points. That's all right. It's money.
Yeah, that's 5K would be a nice consolation prize for
Right.
Not getting towards Grandmaster. You need 2 more golds to get Grandmaster. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Well, this 5,000 could get you another graphics card, or just be nice money. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
That's exciting.
So that's what I've been doing. Oh, and taxes. You reminded me to do taxes last time. I finished them. I submitted them.
You beat me. I think I promised my accountant that I would be done with my part today. So hopefully I don't break that promise.
Well, you got married, so
I did. I have a very good excuse.
Yeah. Yep.
Any surprises in taxes? What's your system of doing that? Because I have just like a bunch of I keep so on the business side it's much cleaner. Everything's in QuickBooks, and I go through their terrible interface to categorize expenses. And then on the personal side, I sort of built my own QuickBooks out of a spreadsheet on Airtable, and then I have scripts that go through and auto categorize stuff, and then I have another script that goes through and like links my Amazon purchase descriptions with the actual transaction, which is so hard, by the way, because Amazon, you can't just download all the transactions because it's like 3 separate spreadsheets that you need. It's like one of charges that maps the charge amount to order, and then another one that maps the order to the items in it, and then you need a third spreadsheet to list the items so that you can see like, okay, what items were included in this order. But it's worse than that because the charge of the order, like the total of the order, is not the amount that was charged on your card, because you can have like rewards points from your Amazon Visa card, or you can have like gift cards. And so something like 15% of the transactions, if I just try to do that, don't actually get linked. And then last year I had to go through and like manually do it. So for this year, I built a scraper that goes through and like downloads the HTML invoice that does include how much went to a gift card and how much went to rewards points. And then from that, I'm able to actually link them. And then now I'm able to get to like, 98% of transactions, but there's still a bunch that aren't being categorized and I don't know why, and that's frustrating. But so then once I have that spreadsheet, then I just go through and categorize those. And the only ones that are really important are like, is this a business expense that I bought with a personal card? And then I categorize it from that, and then I send a report to my accountant. What's your system for doing this?
Well, so if I remember right, that's because you use your business card on Amazon, so you have to reconcile the difference.
I use my personal card on Amazon to buy business things. Oh. Yeah, because I have the Amazon rewards card, and that gets me more points.
Yeah, I see. I might suggest adding up the time and subtracting the amount of rewards points you got and see if it was worth it.
Yes. If I did that, no question, it would not be worth it. But there's an extra element to this of like, I can also generate personal reports of like, I can see how much money I spent on each category in my life, and then if I want to get a better handle on my finances, I can it's easier to do that. So I can just, and also this is fun. I like working with spreadsheets and data. And I enjoy it.
So my bank actually gives us that for our credit card, and it's pretty good. Now Amazon is just labeled as Amazon, so I can't see that, but so we get that from the bank. Yeah, my thing is I have a place for all the paper that I get throughout the year that's like tax related, so I put it there, and then I have a tag in my email for anything I get, like 1099s or whatever in my email, so I tag those, and then at the end of the year I just put everything in a big folder on my, like I scan everything and then put everything in a big folder on my laptop, and then I just go through it one by one and I figure out what to do with it, and that's my system, and it's very manual. Like I use Google Sheets and just add things up, and no QuickBooks, nothing fancy, but it's not very complicated, so I don't have to do reconciling like you do most of the time. I don't have to do, like, the hardest part is I have to like log into all my different banks and stuff and download statements and all that stuff, but so I don't know if that answers your question, but it's all just manual. It just takes a few hours to like go through things manually and do it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think inevitably just I'm going to apply my general process to this of automating stuff, which is just every time I go through it and do it, it's going to be a little bit more automated and a little bit faster. And
it also helped. So this year I was like, I really don't want to do it. And so my wife was like, okay, how about this? I will clean for as long as you do taxes. I was like, all right, fine, deal.
That's good.
Yeah. So she did a bunch of cleaning while I did taxes. We each did something we didn't want to do.
I like that.
That was the trade.
If I have to do something I don't like, you have to too.
Nice. Yeah.
That's good. Cool. We talked about taxes, talked about calculation composition. Oh, last time you were talking about identifying the specific genus of grass in your yard.
I mentioned that. So I figured out what the weird grass is in my yard. So I bought very fancy, expensive herbicide. I've tried for a long time to like not use super nasty chemicals. Part of the reason is we grow food in our garden, and so I like don't want to hire a company that uses that kind of stuff because I don't want it getting on food. But I just gave up and was like, for my front yard, I'm buying this stuff, and I wore a mask and goggles and things, and I did it when I knew kids wouldn't be playing on it, and I just did it. And now it's turning all the nasty grass white, which is what it does. And in a couple weeks, I'll be able to. I have this thing which it's like, imagine a lawnmower, but it has little tiny blades that spin this way onto the grass. Okay. It's called a dethatcher, and so I'll do that, and I'll pull up all the dead weeds, and I'll have a bunch of bare spots that I'll have to put grass seed on. But yes, I found a nasty herbicide that will kill the weird grass in my front yard. So
cool. Congratulations. I had this fantasy while you were explaining the herbicide that was, so like you had to identify the specific type of grass, and then you knew which herbicide to use. But I can imagine a future where like it's a DNA attack, like it's a virus made for that specific type of grass. Yeah, and then it would be food safe, I think, but inevitably would have some sort of terrible environmental consequence of like, oh no, we didn't realize this reacts with bananas, and now we have no more bananas.
I mean, that's sort of like what Roundup is. So Roundup is this nasty chemical that kills just about everything, except they've bred corn so that it does not get killed by Roundup. And so that's one of the reasons, like, they can just spray Roundup all over the cornfields, and it doesn't kill the corn. It kills just everything else, including stuff like gets into the water and messes with, they think, honeybees and all this stuff. And so there's been a lot of, like, it's been great for corn, but really terrible for a lot of other things. So yeah, I imagine it would be something like that.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I think that's the way you would do it as a product too. This feels so gross, but like from a business perspective, I think what you would want is a grass that was immune to Roundup or something like that, and then you sell people that grass at a huge premium because you've patented the gene on the grass, and no one else can get the grass. And then you just say, oh yeah, just use this terrible toxic chemical, and then you'll have this perfect lawn with our perfect patented grass. I hate that, but that'd be a really good business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it works. So anyway, I went to the dark side and used chemicals, and now I'll have better grass.
Yep. All right, cool. less bad than gene editing.
I suppose.
Yeah. Neat. Good job on taxes and yard work. And I'm excited to hear updates on the Kaggle competition. You said, I think 2 or 3 weeks left?
Yeah, 17 days.
17 days. Okay. Yeah, good luck. Do you feel like you still have energy to work on it? Do you feel like you're hitting a wall?
Both. Like, I feel like why has nothing I've tried not worked yet? But also it's like it's a puzzle that you want to solve, right? Just like you said, like I have unlimited energy to work on things that I find interesting. And so I find it very interesting, even though the sort of expected returns keep going down and down the further I get into it. So the other thing I could do is, the organizers said if they provide any hints or updates to that challenge, they will pre-announce when they're going to announce those, so that everyone gets them on the same time. So I could just wait to see if they do it, because I don't think anyone's going to solve it, or not. I can have 2 people solve it before I get knocked out. So I don't think 2 people are going to solve it unless they give more hints. And so if they give hints, then I can just be ready and waiting for when they pre-announce that they're going to give them. So I could do that too. I could stop working on it unless they give more hints.
I could see also if there's anything that you can still think of to work on, that working on that would make you better prepared to take advantage of the hint.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, and the other thing is, I knew nothing about data poisoning before this. Now I've read like 12 of the top papers about it. I feel like I can implement lots of different things. I feel like a sort of like I got a mini education in security research, and so it's super interesting. Like even if I don't solve it at all, like I've learned a whole bunch. So which is why I do the competitions. So it was positive even if I don't solve it.
Cool. I would like to gently nudge you in the direction of marketing AcornChat. We had a really good excuse for the last couple of weeks of like COVID energy being really down, and then layered on top of that a really good excuse of like there's this really fun competition to be working on. Sounds like we're in a place where it may be beneficial just to let the competition simmer and let your subconscious think about it while working on other stuff. You also seem pretty lively. Like COVID stuff is mostly
resolved.
Gotten recovered. Yeah. What might be the next thing to work on with AcornChat?
I agree. I want to make it so people have to pay me. So then I can increase my MRR by 100% by getting the next guy to pay me.
Much less than infinity %, but still pretty high.
That's right. The curve goes down pretty quick. And then that's a good question. I mean, we've talked about this for a few weeks. And, okay, so analytics. So at least Google Analytics, if not something like Sigmetrics, or look at my homegrown thing. I think that's the next thing. And then, I mean, I guess top of funnel stuff is like, I could write something and try to get it on, Reddit or Hacker News or something, or I could run ads. Those are the two things I can think of. So I could try one of those.
I think we'd also talked about before, like reaching out to websites that fit your target demographic that have just a regular, like email contact form.
Yeah, I could. That's true. I could try that too, at least a few times to see if I get no responses or mean responses or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
And then if you can figure out a formula that works, but it's just draining for you to get mean emails back that
cold
are like
calling us for you.
Right. Yeah. But if you can figure out like, for every 20 people I email, one of them signs up and tries it, and then internally that 1 out of 5 people from that are going to convert to a paying customer, then you could just hire someone to do that part once you figured out what the formula is.
That's true. Yeah. I think I didn't want to do that before because I had no revenue. Now I have some revenue, but still not, $29 a month is not very much.
Yeah.
So I would want to make sure it actually works before spending a bunch of money on it, I guess, but which is sort of counterintuitive. I just have to do it myself until I know it works before I hire someone to do it, I think is what I want. Okay.
Specifically, like if the cold outreach on websites, contact forms would work.
Yeah. If it works a little, I would want it to work. I would want to at least sort of prove to myself that I could not waste a ton of money, I guess I'm fine spending a few $100s figuring out if it works, but I wouldn't want to, spend a couple thousand booking a VA or something for some amount of time before knowing it actually works.
VAs, by the way, don't cost thousands.
You said
like through the Philippines. Yeah.
Cheap,
yeah. I have mine through the States, who's like a person who has a university degree and lives domestically and like is fluent in English. Is like, I think it's $600 a month for something like an hour a day. And my friend Trig, the professional magician, has a VA out of the Philippines. He's paying the same amount, but he's getting 40 hours a week.
Right. Yeah.
So like if you can reduce the complexity of this repeatable task to like, copy and paste this thing and customize these 3 things, for someone who is fluent in English, but not necessarily like it's their first language, that would cost like surprisingly little. For $100 a month, you could make much more than $100 a month, and then scale it up as much as you want.
All right, I'll think about that too then.
Cool. You mentioned ads also. Does that feel like a doable thing? Is that something you'd want to try in the next week?
I mean, maybe. I haven't. Last time I tried to set up Google or Facebook ads, it took me a week just to not a whole week, but like a week just to figure it out. Like it's non-trivial to give Google or Facebook money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I'm less excited about ads than some of the other stuff.
Fair. How what am I trying to ask? For the person who would benefit from buying this, how are they looking for it, and where do they hang out?
That's a good question. I have no idea, because the people who have tried it so far have been very different types of people. So I see very little they're all making money on the internet somehow. So there's like agency, e-commerce, that type of thing, where if people contact them, it usually means they're trying to make money from those people. So like those are the 2 big ones that I could think of. So like if there's a way to contact small agency owners or something like that, or
I like agency owners. I like e-commerce websites. If you can figure out that everyone on WordPress could use this, and this specific type of person is usually on Slack, so that would make a lot of sense. Right. And then like roughly the right price point. I'm curious if for buying Google ads, do you know what keywords people would be searching for to find this, or what keywords you want to turn out for?
So probably live chat, but that's an expensive keyword. There are some very expensive keywords. So if I could find, like you mentioned, doing Ahrefs or something, like if I could find more longer tail keywords that are still positive intent but lower priced, because like I mean live chat, like Intercom's bidding on that, right? And they charge $1,000 a month or whatever. So I can't compete with some of that unless I just want to waste money just to get inbound traffic to then have data about traffic like that I could see, but I don't think it'd be profitable for some of the most popular keywords.
I could justify doing that. Spend a few $100s just to get more data on it, and then it may be that for someone who you spend $10 a click on, that those just convert like crazy, and Intercom is very justified in paying a whole bunch of money for them. And so before you do that, make sure you have analytics locked down. Make sure you can actually see the data and see those numbers. And then I like the idea of long tail keywords of something like live chat, Slack, or any combination like that, or I don't know, maybe there's some long tail keywords that Intercom isn't looking at, like embed live chat in the middle of your screen or something, or like
that's true.
Live chat
just like really long keywords.
Yeah. And then I think the game with Google Ads is like if you have either the patience or like the automation ability to make a really targeted ad. If when someone Googles some really long tail keyword like embed Slack live chat in the middle of your screen, if you can have an ad pop up that's like embeddable Slack in the middle of your screen, that's exactly what their query was. I think that ad would convert much higher versus what most people do is just you have a handful of basic ad templates, and then you for each one of those have a whole big long list of keywords that you want to show up for. So it's less specialized. That's a project I'd like to get into at some point, is figuring out how that API works for AdWords, because that would unlock some fun automation ability. Cool. Okay, sounds like marketing channels are well, first get analytics in place so that you can see data,
and then the other guy to pay me.
Yes. Get the other guy to pay you, and then experiment with paid ads, experiment with cold outreach on website contact forms.
Yeah, sounds right.
Okay. Any other clever way to get more customers? How else could we find more people?
SEO is always good. Like if I can write more articles, I should probably be writing one a week or something. So and I have 0 queued up. So if I could maybe do some keyword research and write articles for keywords, high intent keywords, that's probably worth my time.
I like that. You're also very good at making video and video tutorials. I can see that. I can see that going well.
Yeah. I actually get quite a bit of traffic from the YouTube series I did. If you'll remember, I built AcornChat in a week and did a YouTube series about it. And I get quite a bit of, I can see the referrer from YouTube. So I do get quite a bit of visits from that. As far as I know, no one has signed up though. So I think it's just people interested to see what I built in a week, not like, people actually interested in live chat. So that might be like a red herring, but I do get traffic from that.
I have a content idea for you. I think it'd be fun to see like before and after engagement with and without live chat. So like going from a contact form to a live chat, sales went up by this much, or customer engagement went up by this much, or here's the experience of someone before and after being able to have live chat. That'd be a fun piece.
Yeah, I would need a good first customer to test that on, get them to like say yes, I can do a white paper or something about them, and then do a case study or something. So that I can see that in the future when I have more data. Yeah,
cool. Could be fileinbox. I keep meaning to integrate this, but there's too many other things going on. Yeah, I'd like to do that as soon as I'm back, and then I could be that person. I can get you that data.
Well, no one clicked on your video, right?
Yeah, no one clicked on the video. And I only did it for like, I think 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. And, at most I was doing it for like 2 hours every weekday. But yeah, no one clicked on the video. I wonder what's up with that. I also don't know like how many people it was exposed to though. So I don't, like, it may have been that at that time of day only 10 people saw it. I think that'd be an interesting experiment to do. But it might be that, just keeping chat open more and would be more engaging, and it might be that people really don't like the idea of live video chatting, and I don't know. That's all things to be tested. Cool. All right, I got some stuff to talk about. I'm married,
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's like this upgraded level of partnership and having a life partner, and I'm very excited. Laying the groundwork for having kids. Yeah, and the wedding itself was just wonderful. We're talking about all sorts of different ideas of like, do we have a destination wedding, or do we have a huge wedding, or do we do like a wedding tour where we have little mini weddings in a bunch of different places. And the idea that finally stuck with both of us was like, what if, while we're visiting my parents' property in upstate New York, we just have like a really small, elopement-esque wedding with just parents and siblings. And then we can just make it really simple and focus on the getting married part of it as opposed to throwing the huge party. Because I think both of us were sort of getting stressed out at the idea of inviting a bunch of people and then you're distracted by the party aspect of it. And that worked out so well for us. Like, I felt all the feelings of having a wedding. Just like, I cried when I saw Sarah walking up the aisle, and it just, I felt very close with my friends and family, and it was nice. And we spent so much less than we would have otherwise. I think total, including like this $1,500 very fancy dinner at a restaurant afterwards. In total, I think we spent about $4,000. And then a lot of that was spent on like property upgrades, like, hanging up cool lights and, a speaker that we can use up there now and stuff like that. So yeah, it felt really good, and I'm excited to be married. And it's exciting.
Yeah, that after we got married, that's exactly what we wished we would have done, like a planned elopement. Because weddings are incredibly stressful, and for everybody involved. My brother's getting married soon, and it's even stressful for us. We're like, okay, I need to wear this specific color charcoal gray suit, and I gotta match my kid to it because he's gonna be walking up the aisle too. But they don't have kid sizes at the thing I'm ordering from, so we gotta like find one, and it's like, even like silly stuff like that is incredibly stressful. And in the end, it doesn't really matter at all. Like, people like care just about the bride and groom, and everything else is superfluous. And so, so I think that's great. Good job.
Something also that both of our therapists have said is that people traditionally spend a lot more time and money and energy on the marriage and then forget, on the wedding and then forget to prepare for the marriage. And the marriage is so much more important, right? Like that's, the wedding is just sort of a celebration of this thing, and don't miss the forest for the trees. It worked out really well. I'm excited about how it happened. We nobody was stressed out about the correct color of charcoal suit for themselves. Right. We had all the people there that are the closest to us in our lives, and I would have loved to have thrown something that like I could have invited you and your family to, and I think we're going to do something like that just as a party, and then just focus on like we're going to throw a party and have that be, I don't know, something next year.
Yeah. That's the trick with the planned elopements is as soon as you start thinking, I could invite friends, it's like, okay, when do I stop? And then it's a wedding again.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's great. Good.
We held a really tight boundary with that, and that was sort of hard because several of the friends that we would have invited are like within driving distance. And so, oh gosh, my friend Luke from college, who's been a friend of mine for like over a decade. I told him it was happening like the day before it happened, and he was like, "When is it? Where is it? I'll be there." I was like, "Wait, hold on,
no."
That was the hardest one, I think, because like he very reasonably could have been there, but we worked something out. He's gonna come visit this weekend instead, and we're gonna hang out. And So but a very tight boundary had to be drawn of like it's only parents and siblings and no one else. But there were fireworks and like we danced and the DJ part was so nice because I've been to weddings where like a recent wedding that Sarah and I went to, I love the cha-cha slide. That's like, or is that right? Slide? No, not the cha-cha slide. The Cupid Shuffle is like my song at weddings. Like I love it. And we were at a wedding, and like it was kind of hard to get people up on the dance floor. And I was like, oh man, what would be killer right now? It's some Cupid Shuffle. And I went up to the DJ and was like, hey, could we play the Cupid Shuffle? And he was like, oh, I don't know about that. And he pulled out this list of like, they had already arranged exactly which song to play in which order. So like, there was no flexibility to play any other music. And I was like, oh, this kind of sucks, but okay. And also, why do you need to be here if the songs are already there? Like, are you just adjusting the volume?
Also, I'm paying you.
So the bride and groom who were paying him, I think, like.
This is the wedding. This is the other wedding. Oh, sorry. I thought you said at your wedding. Okay, yeah.
No.
Got it.
At this wedding.
Yeah.
With Sarah and I, the thing that we did is I just had an iPad there with Spotify, and I had a bunch of songs that I had pre-picked out. But anytime anyone had an idea of like, it'd be cool to play Cotton Eye Joe, I just went over and typed in Cotton Eye Joe, boom, and then, Cotton Eye Joe started playing. Like, wow, that's amazing. How did you know? And then other people could go up and do their own song. So that as a microcosm of instead of spending whatever $1,000 on a DJ, you just have an iPad there, and that's not only is it such a cheaper solution, but it's a better way to solve the problem of having cool music. So yeah, a bunch of things that we did in that category that I felt like just worked out really well. Cool. So that's all that. And then afterwards, we've been taking this trip to Canada. If you're watching this on video, you can see a portion of the beautiful Toronto skyline behind me. I've never been to Toronto. It's a very nice city. Being in Canada doesn't really feel like being in a foreign country. They just spell things slightly differently, and they have their milk in bags.
More French.
Yeah. A little more French, but very some of the signs are also in French, but everyone speaks perfectly fluent English. This is the least foreign country that I think I've ever been to, and it's been very nice, just being in this cool little apartment. And a consequence of that is that Sarah and I have been able to finally, for the first time in a month, catch up on personal working stuff. So part of that is I'm finishing up taxes, and another part is for the last 2 days I was able to work on fileinbox again, and that feels great. It was there's a syndrome I've heard about where if you've been stranded on a desert island or something and you haven't eaten very much food, and then you get rescued, and then you start eating food again, that you can eat food too quickly and then get really sick, and that's really not good for you. So you kind of have to slow it down. And this was my work day. What was it, 2 days ago? I was oh my god, I'm in a space where there aren't bugs inside. There's really good Wi-Fi and there's not a lot going on. I can work on fileinbox again. And I think I worked for 7 hours, which is a lot more than I would usually work on fileinbox, and just felt this really weird bingey feeling that I worked too hard on it, too much too fast, as if I had just ate a bunch of food after fasting. So I'm going back into a more sustainable clip now, but I was able to get my second user onboarded onto this serverless platform.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that felt so good, and was a bit of a scramble, but he has a functional thing now. So I have the Dropbox integration smoothed out to a point that you asked a question a couple of months ago now, I think, of is the serverless fileinbox better than the current version of fileinbox? And I was embarrassed to say no, it wasn't. I think I can say confidently now, yes, it is for some people.
All
right. For a majority of fileinbox users, I think there's still some things I haven't finished of the Google Drive integration, or some things involving automations, but the core functionality of you receive files to a form and then it goes to Dropbox, that works so much better and so much more scalably. And I was able to dig back into the Dropbox implementation of okay, how do they want me to be solving this problem? With in the last decade since I wrote this, they've updated their documentation and the way the API works. And I so much better understand how APIs work and how to scale these sorts of things. And it feels like I just have a so much more bulletproof way of doing this core interaction of delivering the value of fileinbox. So feels like we're on the train, and I think the path forward from here looks like make sure this is really smooth for customer number 2 that's on this, which we've had a few emails back and forth, and he's pointed out a few things, and I've had this very rewarding feeling of just being able to solve them immediately and then email him back and be all right, these 4 things are solved, which doesn't happen in software, right? That's a bonus of having a product where the developer, it's a single developer. So I'll keep going through a few rounds of that, and then onboard user number 3, and then eventually everyone currently on fileinbox, and then we'll be switched over. And in parallel with that, I'll be doing more marketing stuff. I think that the next marketing project is figuring out the file sending feature, and have that be a freemium way to get people in the sales funnel. That's my fileinbox update.
Cool. Yeah, I wasn't expecting one since you're on your honeymoon, but
right.
But good. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Thank you. In the last 30 days, I think I've only worked for 10 hours on fileinbox, and didn't really like it, especially with the stock market going down and crypto crashing. The total amount of money in my bank account has gone down, and also fileinbox income has just been like slowly drifting down. So I'm feeling the pressure of like, I sure would be like to be making more money to be able to comfortably support a family and not be worried about money. So I'm feeling this pressure, but at the same time, like, had a wedding to prepare for. And, this felt like a nice release of like, okay, I can be working on this again.
Yeah.
So that
especially doing taxes, and so I have to log into all my brokerage accounts and stuff. I feel the same because I'm like, oh, this was higher before.
Yep.
But I did find the last like 2 years of IRA contributions for my wife, I just kept in cash, sort of accidentally. So I was like, so I put those into stocks because stocks are lower now. So, or I put them into nice. Vanguard retirement fund. So I was like, that accidentally worked out, kind of. So small victories, I guess.
Accidentally timed the market. Although time in the market beats timing the market.
Yes, it does. Correct.
Cool. I think I still haven't finished Traction, and so that project sort of got put on pause. But I would like to just talk through briefly like what the fileinbox marketing plan is after this. Yeah. I feel like I keep saying it's like a month out, but it's at the point where like multiple people are using the new serverless infrastructure as it currently exists. And so technically it feels like it's for sure in a place where I can be comfortably working on marketing in parallel with what I'm doing on the technical side. So what do you think makes sense to invest in as a marketing channel next? Like once I get back home, this is going to be in like a week and a half from now, and I'm able to put in consistent time into this again. I think what I would like is to be investing in like 3 marketing channels at the same time, investing about $1,000 into each of them, and then have the analytics in place, like you're saying, to be able to see which one of those did the best, and then push forward on those. What springs to mind of like things I should be working on and investing in?
Yeah. So the first thing I'll ask, I guess, is similar to what you asked. Like, what do you think you're missing? So are you missing top of funnel? Are you missing more bottom of funnel people? Or like, are you missing conversions? Do you need more data? So like, should you spend time on segmetrics before you like buy ads? What do you feel like you're missing?
Spending time on segmetrics for sure, and being able to answer the question like, where did this person come from, and how much money did they make me? How well did they convert? I think that's going to be really important. So yeah, maybe I just focus on that, and then don't think about the next step yet.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I know you've been working on this serverless transition for a long time. I know it's been a giant blocker, and you should probably be working on marketing. But I know as long as you don't have more people switching over to this, you're going to be in the back of your head thinking about that. And so I hate saying that you should do more development instead of marketing, but I think the more people that you switch over, the better you'll feel about the whole thing. And so that doesn't actually raise MRR, which is maybe not what you're looking for. But apart from that, I would recommend the same things that I do, that you recommended me, which are probably ads in some capacity, and then probably writing like a article a week, for like the highest SEO intent words. That's probably what I'd say.
You know what I'd like to do too is make a video a week, and because I feel like that's a very unfair advantage that both of us have. Like we're good at making videos. That's a thing that isn't insurmountable. Talking with a lot of the people at MicroConf and asking them more about video and what they're doing, I was so surprised that like people seem to have this fear of making video that like you don't know what to say.
Before I did it.
Yeah, same. So like we've gotten over that hump. Video I think is much easier for us to make, and I think I can start with just making a video on each of the topics of the articles that I have already. And so that would get me in the rhythm of doing it, and then more of them would be easier afterwards. And I can think of just so many different topics for long tail keywords that I think would make a lot of sense. Like, have a file upload form embedded in Squarespace, or embedded in Shopify, or embedded in WordPress. And then I might even combine that with like a quick engineering is marketing, like build up plugin for those sites or something. Cool.
So I like that. What I would make your first task then, if you're writing tasks down, is not do a video a week. I would make your first task plan the next 6 weeks of videos or whatever, and like write on your calendar when you're going to do which video. That's what I'd make your first task. Okay. Same thing, like for me, probably it's like instead of I want to write an article a week, it's plan the next 6 weeks of articles. Yeah,
that's good. What is the next article that you might write?
Oh, I have no idea. That's why I need a palm of planning the articles. Whatever the highest intent keyword is for live chat, I should probably write an article about that. At the same time, Google just released something like more articles written by humans or something like that. I can't remember what the press release was, but it's basically like trying to stamp down some of these like AI generated articles or some of these just like formulaic articles. So you kind of long term, I think it helps to have sort of a unique perspective as well, a human perspective in your articles, which is an additional wrinkle to just generating articles. Yeah,
I remember that being a key point in the Ahrefs course that like, yes, there are these short-term games you can be playing of like, having a link farm or figuring out what the current Google algorithm is and how to game it. But the best long-term strategy is to make good content for humans.
It's like teaching people stuff is long-term the best thing you can do. Yeah.
Right. What I'm reminded of is I think Ahrefs supports not just Google analytic data, like what people are searching for in Google, but I think they also support YouTube searches. And I'd be real curious to see what people are searching for in YouTube that relates to these two companies.
I could for sure do like a how to install live chat on your website YouTube video. I'm sure that gets searched 1,000 times a day.
For sure. I found that YouTube has, in a lot of areas of questions I'm trying to answer, replaced Google.
Yeah.
There was something I was searching for yesterday. Oh, it was so Sarah and I were putting together a wedding registry, and my sister, Sarah's new sister-in-law, has a pressure cooker that she uses for everything and swears by it. And so we wanted to add a pressure cooker to it, but then we were in a Canadian Tire store, I think is what it's called. They don't sell tires. It's like a Walmart-y type place. It was interesting. Yeah. And they had pressure cookers that were also air fryers, and an air fryer is just a convection oven, I understand, but like it's cool and you can make fries and crispy skin chicken and whatever. So I was like, that's cool. There exist pressure cookers that are also air fryers. And so when we were trying to put together this registry of like, what do we want? Well, we know that we want a pressure cooker, and it sure would be nice to have an air fryer, but like the concept of a combination air fryer pressure cooker exists, and we don't know which one. So Sarah was like, can you figure out like which one is the best and which one fits the price point? And I didn't go to Google and search like which is better, because I think in the back of my head, I felt like I'm just going to end up on some bloggy, spammy, terrible site that is going to like just have affiliate links to Amazon. So I'm going to search on YouTube. And then after like 10 YouTube videos, I was like, okay, I feel like I understand the marketplace of these pressure cooker air fryers, and specifically the Ninja Foodie is the best. Oh no, that was the competitor. There's another one that I was between that and another one, and the other one's actually better.
Right.
Because the lid is like one integrated smart lid, and it's a whole thing. I could tell you all about it. But I'm curious of that as a trend of like, video is harder content to make than text, and so I think it's harder to fake, and that won't be true forever, but for right now it's true. So like for me, looking for more real content that's more authentic, that like is going to give me higher information, YouTube is a better place to search for that. And I think that's probably where a lot of people are going to be going for things like looking for the best live chat widget or like the best file upload widget. So still be playing the text game, still be playing the Google game, but having a strong YouTube game is going to make a lot more sense. And then I'm real curious about TikTok, because the next generation, I think there was an article I read that like you can search for things on TikTok. And I think like, my brother and people younger than him are probably going to be using TikTok in the same sort of way that I'm using YouTube to solve these sorts of problems. That, when my brother has a lawn, he's probably going to be searching on TikTok for like how to get rid of the particular weeds. So that's a thing I want to become more familiar with. I could see maybe a dual content strategy where I'm making stuff on YouTube and TikTok, and then having both of those linked on the regular web page.
Yeah, so I totally agree on YouTube. First of all, especially for anything with a physical, like, so you were looking at air fryers. Whenever I do anything with home repair or like my lawn, right, I go to YouTube first because I can actually see the person interacting with the thing, and like it's just way better than text. And often the same for software too, though not quite as much as physical stuff. But TikTok, I agree as well. Although it's probably like, because of the audience of TikTok, like your best customers are probably not searching TikTok for the best file sharing solution, you know, like versus like, you know, the best, I don't know, earrings to wear or something. I don't know. But it will be an interesting trend, to see how that. I would start with YouTube, is what I'm saying.
For sure, start with YouTube. And I'm viewing all this now in the lens of reading traction. Like, I think the answer is to test it, right? Sure. And then just see. Yeah. Okay, let me make 10 TikTok videos and just see what happens. This is not something that Citrix ShareFile is looking at. This is not something that WeTransfer is looking at. Probably, as far as I'm aware. I know neither of them have a very strong YouTube presence. So like, maybe this is a really good marketing channel, and if I can make a small investment and see, that's going to be the best way to find out. TikTok, by the way, just like, oh my God, have you used TikTok? Have you downloaded it?
So I was going to ask you this. We've gone over an hour, so this is like bonus content.
Yes.
How do you feel about TikTok, especially that it's owned by a Chinese company, like who probably uses all of its data for who knows what?
Yes.
I mean, the U.S. companies do too, but at least I'm a U.S. citizen, so like I have some protection from them. How do you feel about that?
As a human person and like a consumer of content, I hate it. I installed it one evening, and then 6 hours later, I was like, oh my God, I've never been more entertained more consistently. And also, like, I can't have this on my phone. And I uninstalled it. And I think almost everyone in my family uses it for, I think hours a day. My mom in particular is like, oh, look at this cool thing I found it. And, you know, they'll send videos in the family chat all the time. It's too good. From as just like a product standpoint. It's just like condensed dopamine hits one after another, just like the funniest clip of the funniest, you know, America's Funniest Home Video you've ever seen, and then immediately something completely different that's equally entertaining. It's too good. I don't know how to think about that it's owned by a Chinese company. Like, I've read things about that there's this, you know, foreign espionage thing where they require too many permissions on your phone, and that's for sure a problem, but that's also a problem with Facebook. And like, I don't know, do I trust Facebook more because they're a U.S. company? Like, kind of, but kind of not. I see them equally as a problem.
Yeah, I don't accept that. Well, the fact that I'm in the U.S. and they're in the U.S. makes me feel better, I guess, because we're under similar laws. Although you're exactly right that they're doing the exact same stuff with their data. So yeah, I don't know.
Fundamentally, I would love to live in a world where like people read more books and used less TikTok and less Facebook. And the reality of the world is like,
people don't.
This is a place where people are just dumping a whole bunch of their time and attention. This is how things are. And you know, I sort of also feel like curmudgeon-y. I feel like my parents' generation, when YouTube first came out, would be like, these kids watching all their YouTube videos, and there's these really hilarious takes on like newspapers. Like, it sounds like old people criticizing young people for using cell phones. It's like, all these people reading their newspapers on the train instead of like making eye contact and talking to people, and they're just so engorged in their news. And you know, why don't you read a book instead of reading the newspaper? And it's like, okay, come on, like it's a newspaper, calm down. I think that's just sort of inevitably, you know, things happen faster and they happen in a more entertaining way, and then the flow of information, like the bandwidth is stronger, and inevitably I think this is going to go to like VR and AR, and that's just how things are. And like experiencing that in YouTube, like YouTube's great. Anything I want to know, I just Google it and I can become an expert in it. I learned how to make, you know, jewelry from watching a couple of YouTube videos. That's incredible. Would have been so much more difficult to do that, like reading a book. So in the future, when I see TikTok as like a progression towards that of being higher fidelity and more information and higher bandwidth. And in the future, when we have this, you know, in our VR Apple headsets or like plugged into the Neuralink, it's going to be an incredibly powerful tool that'll be a double-edged sword. There's going to be people who just like get lost in it like a lotus den and spend hours in it, and it isn't very good. And there's going to be people who are using it to like figure out the best way to kill the specific weed in their lawn, and they'll be able to learn that much faster. So with that as the reality of the world, and like the game that I'm playing is trying to help people with fileinbox and get more people to know about it. Like the way to be successful with the game is to put myself in places where people are spending attention, and right now that's TikTok.
Yeah. I don't have much to add, although I don't know how to feel about it. That's my
I feel bad about it, but yeah.
Especially with kids coming up. Like, if TikTok is where it's at now, I don't know what it's going to be when my kids get phones.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, my kid now has a smartwatch. We bought him a smartwatch. This is more bonus content. We're within a mile of our school, which means our school doesn't provide buses. So we either have to drive them or walk or bike. And my kid wanted to bike by himself this year, which we feel like he's old enough to do. It's like sidewalks the whole way. But we bought him a smartwatch so that he could text us when he gets to school. So he has a it's the most limited kid smartwatch that you can get. So he can't he can only call people who we program into his phone, and can only text people who we program into his phone. But yeah, that's happening. Yeah.
That's a good use of technology, I think. We have this incredible technology and power of being able to like call people from a watch. Amazing.
Right.
And you can have more peace of mind of like knowing where they are, and that's very nice. And if they get into emergency, that's very nice. And the downside of that is like, with this technology, you could be potentially like, watching TikTok on your phone, or like cheating on tests, and that's not good. But
which is
in the same way,
that's why we didn't. Our choices were the Apple Watch or this watch called a Gizmo. And the Apple Watch is like an Apple Watch with the internet and everything. The Gizmo is like you can call up to 10 people, you can text up to 10 people, and that's it. He can like change his background, which he's excited about, and he can set alarms. And that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that's a healthy approach at an individual level. Like, be very cautious about the technology that you're inviting into your life, and be mindful of how it's going to be changing your behavior, and be careful who you invite onto your phone or onto your wrist. And it sounds like you're doing that in a healthy way. So like from a consumer's perspective, like stay as far away from TikTok as you possibly can, I think. And from a like business perspective, that's where people are spending their attention. Not all parents are making as mindful of choices and for themselves or with their kids. So it's as long as that's what the game is, get your stuff out there. Yeah. Chris, that's all I got.
That's all I got too.
Then I'll see you next week. Goodbye.